Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Whoa, whoa, the Mr. Marty Show. The Mr. Marty Show. So glad you're here. So glad you're here, my friends. Pull up a chair. Gonna fill you with joy and fill you with such dread that you're gonna have to let out a great big scream. For the Mr. Marty Spooktober Show. Take it away, boys. On the Mr. Marty Show, the Mr. Marty Show. Always something very frightening on the Mr. Marty Show, the Mr. Marty Show. The Mr. Marty Show, 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 show. My friends, always something very spooky on the Mr. Marty Show.
I took the knife, I plunged it in. I took the knife and plunged it again. You will obey me, become what I want you to be. You will obey me for all to see. I took the knife, cut open your crown, reached in with a spoon, scooped out what I found. You will obey me, become what I want you to be. You will obey me for all to see. I took the knife, carved a hideous mouth, cut out your eyes like they're popping out. You will obey me, become what I want you to be. You will obey me for all to see.
trimmed the candle wick, stuck it in your head, and then a match I lit.
You will obey me, become what I want you to be. You will obey me
For all to see. I took a knife and made you mine. I created life. Look how you shine.
You will obey me, become what I want you to be. You will obey me
For all to see. Happy Halloween. For all to see. Happy Halloween.
Hello, Mr. Marty fans. Margot here, and of course I'm with MJ. Ha ha ho! You have been practicing that. Whoa! Yes. Welcome to our cemetery show about Mount Carmel and Queen of Heaven. Oh, two of Chicago's finest. Now in Mount Carmel, we have some of the Italian gangsters that we are known for. We have a Giacana. Yes. Oh, and Al Capone! Now, Al Capone is hidden away because they're so afraid that people will want to knock over his gravestone, which is actually a flat stone in the ground, and no raised one for him. And also with them is Mr. O'Banion. Yes, the Irish florist whose shop was blown up. It sat on a corner and pieces went. I guess maybe Mr. O'Banion too. I don't know. Do you? I don't know.
They found him at first, and then
And
they found
then
him at third, and then
they're
they found him at Adams.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
so, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So he's probably in several parts
I would
of Mount Carmel.
Yep.
And then we go across to a sacred place, Queen of Heaven. Now, they have got some of their Italian gangsters too, but they're best known having the sweet, dear angels from the Queen of Angels fire, the school fire that took so many youngsters and so many of the nuns, and they had to be buried because they couldn't be told who was who, so they are in a mass grave with a memorial to them. May they be blessed. We don't take them lightly. Queen of Heaven Cemetery, waiting for you to go and pay homage to those sweet dear ones, and then go across to Mount Carmel, and you can laugh if you want to. You can howl if you want
Oh,
to.
yes.
And say hello to Mr. Capone. I bid you a hearty Spooktober and many more days until you see the lights of your cemetery. This is Margot Moore and
MJ Howling.
And until next time, we bid you peace.
Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Fillet of a fenny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake. Eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog. Adder's fork and blindworm's sting, lizard's leg and howlet's wing. For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth boil and bubble. Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Cool it with a baboon's blood, then the charm is firm and good.
Hi, Mr. Marty fans. We're here in Forest Park with Amy Binns-Calvi from the Historical Society of Forest Park, and she's going to talk to us about cemeteries. We have lots of cemeteries in Forest Park, don't we, Amy?
We do. There's a couple reasons. One, the land was really was drier than the prairie around it, and so in the late 1800s, Chicago closed particularly their city cemetery. What we know as Lincoln Park now was a city cemetery. And they had to move all of those bodies. It was a big pain in the butt. So they decided that's it, no more cemeteries in Chicago. And at that time, Graceland was outside of the city limits. So Ferdinand Haas, who owned this property here, saw an opportunity. And so the first cemetery that he put on his land was Concordia, which is north of here. It's a Lutheran cemetery, German cemetery. But in that cemetery, they have a lot of restrictions. And if you belong to like the Masons or the Oddfellows, you couldn't put the emblem on your headstone. So they wanted a more progressive German cemetery. Where we're standing now here used to be Waldheim, which is German for forest home. And here was non-denominational. Any race could be buried here. You could put your emblems on your headstone. So that became this cemetery. Then the Protestant English-speaking people of Oak Park wanted their own cemetery. So then further south of here was Forest Home. The two cemeteries combined in the 1960s. That's why we call this Forest Home. But there was two different cemeteries. Further south is what we call Jewish Waldheim. Jewish Waldheim is actually a collection of over 250 separate cemeteries. So like a synagogue or an organization would have their own cemetery there. They since combined under a single caretaker organization, but that's a really fascinating area. And then just a little bit further south is Woodlawn. That was established in the 1920s. It's mostly famous for the burial site of the victims of the circus train accident.
Right,
Hagenbach.
Showman's Rest
Showman's
grave
Rest,
with the
exactly.
elephants, yes.
So an interesting thing about that is that plot of land was actually bought before that train accident by Buffalo Bill Cody as Showman's Rest, as a place for people that were in the entertainment business to have a place to be buried. And then when that train accident happened so close to here, that he said he offered it for the mass burial site, and that's a very full cemetery. So that's why. And then the ratio of dead to alive in Forest Park is close to 58-1. So not a great place to be during the zombie apocalypse.
No, and I heard, I mean, I know they used to have what they called the funeral trains coming out from the city.
Correct. And so, and that's why there was that line that came out here. Probably one of the most famous funeral trains that come out were for the Haymarket Martyrs. They had to have a special train cars because so many people came out here when those Haymarket Martyrs were buried. Yeah. And then Forest Park is famously not a dry town. Oak Park did not have any bars. Forest Park did. And the reason why there's so many bars, not only that it was a wet town.
After the
but
funeral, you had to drink your sorrows, right?
100%. So that's a lot of those bars were very natural places. And then also, Forest Park has been important in the monument business. The concrete vaults that we use pretty regularly now were kind of established in Forest Park, or at least perfected in Forest Park. And that was the Truce Company, which is now the Wilbert Vaults. And you can still see remnants of the first factories here in Forest Park.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Sure. Pulling a dagger from her breast. She's laying a laurel wreath or a victory wreath on the head of the fallen worker. And you can see his hand that we can see here is kind of open in supplication. But behind her, the worker's hand is still in a fist, as though he is continuing the fight. You can see on the neck there are marks that's meant to sort of indicate the hangman's noose on the worker's neck. Like I said, on the monument, those are the last words of August Spies, and we'll see that he was right. Their silence was so powerful it could inspire generations and generations of people to continue the fight. And you can see
people come and leave some. I'm not sure what the significance of what they leave.
Everybody leaves something unique. I've come here and people's ashes have been here. So over here, I can see that those are cards that with your rights in case you get stopped by ICE. Somebody left Chicago beer, why not?
I want to say that's from Haymarket.
Who knows?
Because there's a brewery there.
Yeah, people leave their unique things. Actually, I do myself as well, and I hang on to a lot of the items that are here. We really try to discourage people leaving stuff that will damage the monument, but people still do. You can see there's an anarchist A, that one A in the circle is for anarchists. After the Haymarket happened, there was a convention held, and they picked May 1st to be International Workers' Day to honor the Haymarket Martyrs. So throughout the world, May 1st is Workers' Day. It's very purposeful that May 1st is not our Workers' Day. The U.S. government did not want to highlight the injustice of the Haymarket. But we get people from around the world that show up here, and they're very surprised how little Americans know about the history of the Haymarket events, because it's celebrated throughout the world. If you ever get a chance to come here on May Day, it's incredible. It's all kinds of crazy stuff happens. Anarchists are always here, and labor leaders come to pay their respects. But yes, people come from all over, and they will leave very unique things. There's some smarty candy there. Who knows why? I have no idea. But after we're done, I'm going to take away the flowers because we don't want to damage the monument. While I'm speaking about those fronds, so in the 1980s, vandals got into the cemetery and they actually stole the original fronds. We were super, super lucky that we had archival photographs of what the fronds originally looked like. And we're very lucky in Forest Park. That white building that's over there, he's an internationally known art restorer. And in fact, when the lions...
He's the guy that did the lions, right?
Yeah. So he was able to recreate the fronds for the monument. He and his company actually do come and clean the monument every year because some of this stuff leaves marks on it. And then we'll look at the back. They've actually taken molds of the other pieces in case somebody comes and steals them. Adolf Fisher, Albert Parsons, Louis Ling, and George Angle. And then in 1893, when this monument was revealed, the governor at the time, Governor Altgeld, reviewed the transcripts of the trial, and he said this was such a miscarriage of justice that I am going to pardon the remaining men. And so they were released from prison. That was political suicide for him. He never was in an elected office again. I love how it has the broken chain to represent freedom. And in this plaque, these are the 3 men that were in prison. This is not original, so that plaque had been stolen. But Michael Schwab, his ashes are here. Oscar Neeby's ashes are here. Samuel Fielding, we believe, is buried out in Colorado on his ranch. So, so the cool thing about this is still very much living history. People are still doing research about it, and not too long ago, or gosh, now it's a while ago, but Lou Benton and Mark Rogovin were doing research, and they saw in an old newspaper that there was a time capsule buried here. And so they got some local archaeologists to come out with ground penetrating radar. They located the area right around here. They got some archaeologists to very carefully dig up. They found an urn, which they knew was Oscar Neeby's ashes. And then there was a cylinder under there, which didn't really match the illustration in the newspaper. The newspaper showed a box being buried, but they thought, well, maybe that's it. They x-rayed it, it's somebody else's ashes. So we're not 100% sure whose ashes they are. I suspect that they are Big Bill Haywood's ashes, who is fought for workers' rights, and half of his ashes are in the Kremlin, and the other ashes he requested be buried here. So I think that might be where his ashes. We think that the time capsule is actually underneath the monument. And you know, they back then when you had a time capsule, they meant it to be there forever. Like we were like, oh, it'll be there for 50 years, and we'll dig it up. I think they meant it to be there forever. We do know there was a list of what was in there, so we know that there's court transcripts, letters from the condemned, personal memorabilia, messages from other unions at the time. So we kind of know what's in there. It would still be very cool to see. Came here in the winter, and again, this cemetery was called Waldheim at the time. So the poem is called Light Upon Waldheim. Light upon Waldheim, and the earth is gray. A bitter wind is driving from the north. The stone is cold, and strange cold whispers say, what do you do here with death? Go forth, go forth. Is this thy word, O mother, with stern eyes crowning thy dead with stone caressing touch? May we not weep o'er him that martyred lies, slain in our name, that he loved us much? May we not linger till day is broad? Nay, none is stirring in the stinging dawn, none but poor wretches that make no moan to God. What use are these, O thou with dagger drawn? And then she says, go forth, go forth. Stand not to weep for these, till weakened with your weeping, like the snow ye melt, dissolving in a coward peace. Light upon Waldheim, brother, let us go. So I love that because it's just kind of like that kind of don't mourn organized. Like, you can come here and pay your respects, but don't get stuck here.
But then get out there and do something about it.
Go do something. Let us go.
Brother, let us go.
Welcome to the cabin by the lake. Water is so mystical, isn't it? Just draws you right in. Love to play in it, have fun, but it can be dangerous too. I think about it, growing up near the Mississippi River and working in LaCrosse, Wisconsin for many, many years. There are some young men who never heeded that warning. For well over 20 years, they just magically just go missing. And no one quite knew why. Well, sure, lots of speculation. Boys being boys, just having fun. Sometimes it was a challenge, maybe. Try to swim that channel. But evidence would be found that didn't make sense. A wallet not at the river's edge, A phone? Not River's Edge? No one would leave that behind. So maybe it wasn't a drunken challenge. Some said, serial killer. Must be a serial killer. In fact, they tried to tie it to a national serial killer at one point. Might have just been a serial killer who was regional. Tired of all those kids showing up taking those bar stools. Know how that feels, right? The one I always found most intriguing, though, was this woman who didn't seem to age. Showed up at the bars, had her bell-bottoms on, looked awesome. Didn't change at all over 25 years. Often wondered, could she have been the spirit of a disgruntled college girl or a disgruntled local girl who really had just had enough of those college boys? I guess we'll never really know, will we? Other than to stay away from Water's Edge and stay with your friends. We'll never know what draws people in. Challenges, just drunken stupidity. A serial killer, or one of those evil spirits that's out there. Be safe near that Water's Edge.
Welcome back, Mr. Marty fans. Mike McScarry here. Last week, Richard Diggy Prentice and Joey Spinner, his fellow gravedigger at Salem Cemetery, were faced with a number of mysteries, mostly centered around a new open grave neither of them would admit to digging. Frankly, the new grave was so well done, so perfectly cut into the dirt, that if they were honest, they would admit that they couldn't have dug it. Their assumption was that the grave was for the town's witch, Gail Darkwind, that according to Joey had just died. There were no clues on the headstone, although there was one. It had no names or dates on it, just an off-center RIP, a design known as a witch's knot, and a partial phrase, the late great. While they were investigating, a black cat that reminded Diggy of an episode some 20 years ago when he had been in high school leapt up and walked away from the hole. Next up, by the pricking of my thumbs, episode 3, Witch's Wishes. "Can you see it?" asked Joey, pointing down into the open grave. "It looks like something long and dark along the bottom there." Diggy looked where the younger man was pointing, and suddenly the shape seemed to come clear. He thought he knew what it was. "Get it out of there, Joey." "Sure, but you want me to jump in or something?" The hole did really look well made. Might even be the regulation 6 feet deep. Who did that? "Should we get a ladder or something?" Joey asked. "Just get it. I'll give you a hand out." "Okay, but no pranking me. Promise you won't leave me here. I'm not sure I could get out on my own." "Pinky promise," said Diggy, but he didn't extend his hand or his pinky. Joey looked down at the hole and then back at his supervisor. He realized there wasn't going to be any reprieve, so he tensed up and lunged for the far side of the grave. His hands found a grip on the top edge, his legs scrabbled against the side, but his feet couldn't find the bottom. Joey decided he didn't really trust his boss and started to try and pull himself out. "I think I know where the ladder is," he said. Just then, his hands lost their purchase and he slid to the bottom of the grave. It was dark down there. "What is it?" asked Diggy. Joey found the object and picked it up. It wasn't too heavy, seemed to be made out of wood and metal. He stood up with it in his hands and said, I think it's maybe a gun." He handed it up, stock end first, keeping the barrel pointed away from him. Diggy took it in his hands and knew it immediately. He didn't need to see where he had etched Iggy into the stock all those years ago. Of course, he really didn't need anybody else to see that either. So he took some of the dirt that adhered to the barrel and smeared it over the name. He held the gun up in the fading daylight. What in the hell was this? Boss? Said Joey. Joey got no reaction, so he tried again. Come on, Diggy. Startled, the older gravedigger replied, Oh, sorry. It's a pump-action BB gun. Joey laughed. I don't care what type of gun it is. Come on, give me a hand. It's creepy down here. It took a little bit of effort, and they both ended up a lot more dirty than they would normally be, even after a full day's work. But eventually, they were both back topside. Joey asked, Can I see the gun? Diggy jerked the gun stiffly out and away, holding off Joey with his left arm. Nah, I think we should let old man Gray decide what to do with it. Let's head up to the cooler. We have to talk to him about this new grave anyway. Yeah, said Joey. Maybe about the ding-dong witch. That too, said Diggy. They walked pretty much in silence. When they reached the funeral parlor, Diggy leaned the gun up against a downspout, and they headed around back to the lower-level service entrance. They went in together, stomping their feet to get the mud off, and headed down the hallway to the storage cooler. Old Man Gray was staring at his newest customer. Joey almost started to dance. See, I told you the witch was dead. Shut up, said Gray. Diggy looked at his boss. Then he looked at the dead woman. She was dressed all in black and wore a huge pendant on her chest. It looked like the same witch's knot design that was on the gravestone, but this one was wrapped tightly around a huge green gem. But even crazier was the fact that the whole casket was just glittering. Diggy said, I see she's getting the Fort Knox casket. That was their in-house name for the most expensive setup that Salem Funeral Home offered. It's what she wanted. Paid in advance a long time ago. Said Diggy thoughtfully. You expecting a big turnout? Nope. Don't think we'll even see one visitor except maybe that damn cat of hers. Diggy wondered exactly what was going on. He and Gray had come to a working relationship over the years. Not every casket went into the ground at Salem Cemetery exactly as sold, and Diggy never mentioned it. Not every customer got closed into the box with everything he brought with him, and Gray never mentioned that. Joey didn't know anything to mention. Sometimes you just have to do what's best for the customer, said Gray. Diggy looked closely at Gray and recognized what he was seeing. It was fear, just like his father had displayed in the Beatty episode 20-some years ago. Apparently, any interaction with the Dark Ones made old guys' nether parts curl up and hide. Diggy looked over at the gem. Sometimes what's best for me is all you gotta do for the customer. Gray shook his head slightly and said, I wouldn't do it that way, but each man digs his own. Joey popped up. Oh, yeah, boss, that's what we wanted to tell you. The grave's already dug. Really? That's fast. How did you know where to put it? We didn't dig it, said Joey. Thought you must have done it. It's down by the old oak. Well, that sounds like where it belongs, but I didn't put it there, said Gray. When he looked over at him, Diggy shrugged his shoulders. Gray continued, Well, that's convenient. If it weren't so late, I'd be tempted to put her back into the ground right now, but there's no way I want to be doing that after dark. I suggest we all go home, get a good night's rest, and meet back here in the morning to finish the job. Well, sounds like our heroes have come up with a plan. Let's do the same. You and I should meet next week at the same time to see how this plan works out in practice.
Class, I'm so happy you're still with me. This is MJ Howling, continuing our series on witchcraft, the occult, and other things for October and Halloween. Tonight, we will be talking about Rosaline Norton. (1917 to 1979). She was often called the Witch of King's Cross. Who she was born October 2nd, 1917 in New Zealand, but raised mostly in Sydney, Australia, and she died December 5, 1979. She became infamous in mid-20th century Australia for her occult art, bohemian lifestyle, and pagan beliefs. Norton embraced witchcraft, mythology, and ceremonial magic long before such things were culturally accepted. Arts and belief. She was an artist whose work featured pagan gods, demons, and occult symbolism. Heavily inspired by Pan, the Greek god of nature, whom she considered a personal deity. Practice forms of Thelema, inspired by Aleister Crowley, and ritual magic. Her art was frequently seized as obscene by Australian authorities, sparking censorship trials. Public perception. Labeled a witch by the press in the 1940s to 50s, she leaned into the title, becoming a countercultural figure. Scandals arose from her artwork, ritual practices, and association with prominent men like poet Gavin Greensley and conductor Sir Eugene Gozens. Despite persecution, she remained outspoken about her spirituality, challenging conservative Australians' moral boundaries. Now her legacy, known today as Australia's most famous occult artist, subject of documentaries and biographies, including The Witch of King's Cross 2021. Seen as a feminist outsider icon, reclaiming the witch identity in an era it was used against women. In short, Rosaline Norton wasn't a witch in the Salem sense, but rather a 20th century artist and occultist whose provocative imagery and lifestyle made her both notorious and legendary. So, thank you, class, for your attention tonight, and we'll see you next week for another MJ Howings Witches. Good night.